The year is 1944, the Pacific War. It is a conflict of brutal logistics, crushing distances, and aerial dogfights fought to the death over hostile jungle and endless ocean. In this savage theater of war, there was one American pilot who didn't just fight. He dominated. His name was Richard Dick Bong. To his enemies, he was a silent, lethal phantom. To the U.S. Army Air Forces, he was their ultimate weapon. Bong achieved 40 confirmed aerial victories, the highest score of any American fighter pilot in history. His title was undisputed, Ace of Aces. But the incredible truth is this: Dick Bong was not a tactical genius. He was not a master of deflection shooting. His gunnery skills were, by his own admission, poor. He was a farm boy from Wisconsin who loved to fly fast. His secret was not skill, but audacity. He flew the legendary Lockheed P-38 Lightning, and he mastered a single terrifying tactic. Get so close to the enemy you couldn't possibly miss. He would fly through the debris of his own targets. This is the untold story of the farm kid who became the deadliest pilot in American history, and how his courage, his plane, and his sheer recklessness changed the course of the Pacific War. Richard Ira Bong was born in 1920 in the quiet, rolling farmlands of Poplar, Wisconsin. His life was defined by hunting, hard work, and an intense, unwavering love for anything that flew. He started his aviation journey with barnstormers and cheap rides, eventually joining the Army Air Corps cadet program. His early flying was brilliant, but often undisciplined. He was an audacious flyer, known for buzzing farms and flying low under the Golden Gate Bridge, a stunt that earned him a stern reprimand, but cemented his reputation as a wild talent. His destiny was tied to one machine, the Lockheed P-38 Lightning. The P-38 was revolutionary. It was a twin-engine, twin-boom fighter, unique among the U.S. fighters of the time. It was fast, long-legged, and incredibly well-armed, featuring a fearsome centerline cannon and 4 machine guns mounted directly in the nose. For the Pacific theater, the P-38 was a lifeline. Its immense range allowed it to escort bombers across the vast distances, and its twin-engine safety was critical over open water. But in Bong's hands, the P-38 became an instrument of utter destruction. He named his aircraft Marge, after his sweetheart and future wife, painting her picture on the nose. Bong's first assignment was the brutal, desperate skies over Papua New Guinea in late 1942. The Japanese A6M-0 was light, highly maneuverable, and the undisputed master of the turning fight. Most American pilots were taught to use the boom and zoom tactic, dive on the enemy, fire, and use speed to escape. Bong did something else entirely. He realized his gunnery was too inaccurate for traditional long-range passes. His solution was a tactical masterpiece born of necessity: extreme proximity. Bong would use the P-38's high-speed and diving ability to ambush the Japanese from above or behind, but instead of firing from 500 yards, he would not pull the trigger until he was within 50 to 100 feet, so close he could practically read the serial number on the enemy plane. His wingman described his attacks as a deadly collision course. He would often pass through the debris, sometimes even taking damage from the shrapnel of his own victims. His method was risky, but it was devastatingly effective. He scored his first 3 kills quickly, becoming an ace in a few short months. But the Japanese soon learned the name of the pilot who would fly through fire to ensure the kill. His aggressive, close-range style meant that his opponents rarely even had time to realize they were under attack. As Bong's score began to climb, he entered into a quiet, intense rivalry with other top P-38 pilots, most notably Thomas J. Lynch and Jerry Johnson. But the focus was always on the Japanese ace of aces, Saburo Sakai, whose skill and survival techniques were legendary. The combat environment was unforgiving. Bong didn't just fight other planes. He fought the elements, disease, and mechanical failures. Yet his score continued to rise exponentially. By early 1944, Bong's tally was over 27, surpassing the record set by the legendary World War I ace Eddie Rickenbacker. He was now officially the American ace of aces. The public demanded a hero. Bong, the humble farm boy, was the perfect symbol, The U.S. military began using him heavily for propaganda, desperately needing a face to represent their fight in the Pacific. However, Bong was not built for the spotlight. He was a simple man who wanted to fly, not talk about flying. He was notoriously quiet and reserved, preferring the isolation of the cockpit to the clamor of the press. He famously stated he was just doing his job. Despite being the top ace, Bong was frequently pulled from combat rotations. The Army Air Forces knew he was too valuable to lose. They needed him alive for morale and propaganda, but Bong consistently resisted, always finding a way back to the front. His final, most brutal tour came during the crucial Philippines campaign. Here, his role changed. He was promoted to major and assigned to mentor new, inexperienced pilots. He was now a tactical leader, but he couldn't stop flying. His orders restricted him from actively seeking out combat, but they didn't forbid him from engaging if attacked. Bong found a way to balance his duty as a mentor with his instinct as a killer. He would fly alongside the new pilots, leading them into combat zones, demonstrating his signature close-range attack, and then letting the new pilots finish the job. It was during this period that Bong cemented his legend. He flew reconnaissance missions, ground support, and bomber escort, constantly engaging the enemy. On December 17, 1944, he scored his 40th and final kill. It was a massive psychological blow to the Japanese Air Force. For this service, General Douglas MacArthur personally awarded him the highest military decoration, the Medal of Honor. His citation acknowledged his extraordinary heroism and skill, noting that he had conquered both the enemy and himself. Shortly after achieving 40 kills and receiving the Medal of Honor, Bong was permanently pulled from combat. His legend was complete. His life was too precious to risk. He returned home to marry Marge and was assigned to an entirely new, secret challenge: jet test piloting. The war had transitioned from propellers to jets. Bong's incredible flying ability made him a natural choice to test the new generation of American fighters, specifically the cutting-edge Lockheed P-38 Shooting Star, America's first operational jet fighter. On August 6, 1945, the day America dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Major Richard Bong was conducting a routine test flight of the P-80 near Burbank, California. During takeoff, a main fuel pump malfunctioned. Bong followed procedure, attempting to switch to the auxiliary pump, but the aircraft's complex systems failed. The jet lost power. Instead of remaining in the cockpit and guiding the uncontrolled jet away from the nearby residential areas, Bong chose to bail out. He successfully ejected, but due to low altitude, his parachute failed to fully open. Richard "Dick" Bong, the invincible ace of aces who had survived 40 dogfights against the Empire of Japan, died instantly upon impact. The news of Bong's death hit the nation as hard as the atomic blast. The man who was supposed to be the great hero of the victory celebration was gone. His legacy, however, is not defined by his tragic end, but by his unmatched courage and his tactical mastery of the P-38 Lightning. He proved that American industrial design, combined with aggressive, focused piloting, could overcome the initial superiority of the enemy. Bong's record of 40 kills remains the undisputed gold standard for American fighter pilots. He defined the spirit of the American war effort, a humble, quiet man who, when given the ultimate machine, performed the ultimate feat. He was the perfect symbol of American ingenuity and bravery. He was the farm boy who became a phantom of the Pacific skies. He was the master of the close-range kill. He was Major Richard Bong, the ace of aces, and his legacy flies on.